Okay guys, I'm just going to run you through this tutorial today on how to go through the export settings on Maya. Um, as you can see here, I'm just going to go check how many frames I've actually animated here at the moment. I think it stops about 64, so eventually we might just end this on about 70 frames. Okay, so the first thing is to make sure that you've got your right frame numbers in place. The second thing inside here, because these are not CVs, and we won't need them on our final export, we're just going to turn them off. So I'm going into the outliner, I'm going to select them, and where you see visibility, we're just going to type off. So you see course guide arrows, again we need the end and the start. I'm just going to select visibility and then say off, and finally the start one, click on it, and then visibility off. So CV curves, they'd be non-visible on the final render, but I use polys there. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just looking at the scene here. I'm just going to do just a quick render for this one. I'm not going to do anything too perfect. I'm not going to animate the cameras or anything like that. I'm just going to go through the settings. So I'm just going to roughly just frame this quickly, find a position. One thing I would say to do is just to go to view, go down to camera settings, go camera settings, and turn on the film gate, because the film gate is basically, it's like the safety guide for what the output of your main camera is going to be, or the main visual area of focus. Next thing I'm going to do, inside here, if you make cameras, you can change the view to whatever camera you've made. You can also select the output view that you want to view here. And I'm just going to quickly find a position for this. It might chop the head off at the end, but I'm just going to do a quick pass. Now before we'd look at Play Blast, just to see our final, our pre-output, so we can then see any changes that we want to make. Under this one, I'm just going to shrink this down. Okay, I'm going to change the set to rendering. So we got the render options at the top underneath the menu options. I'm going to press 7 on the keyboard just so I can currently view with my renders and lights on. Now down here, a current new feature that you have inside Maya is the render sequencer. You can do output content this way. One way I'm going to show you is to use a batch renderer, whereby we're going to render out each individual still and then resequence it after. So I'm just going to go to the render settings up the top of here. So we're going to set our output first of all, so we can select the render engine we want to use. I'm going to go with hardware 2.0 for now. If you need to use the Arnold renderer, just make sure you have assigned Arnold lights to the scene. That's a photorealistic renderer. I'm just going for a standard hardware 2.0 at the moment. We're going to change some settings here. So down by file input, file output, we've got the image format. I'm going to change this to JPEG. If you want to preserve the transparency, leave it as a PNG. We're going to make sure the extensions, we're going to say name, number extension, and we're going to set this. Now your frame padding, as you can see underneath the file name here, I have 001, say for instance, so we're allowed up to 3 numbers. So the top number that we have here for our frames, if we was animating and we've got say 9,000, I know that if I left the frame padding as 3, I could go up to 900, was it? No, sorry, frame padding of 4, it'd be 9,999. So we changed the frame padding, set that. I'm going into the start and end frame, so I'm going to select the range. So I want my final endpoint to be frame 70. I'm just going to leave a couple of frames after that. And here you can set the cameras, or you can add renderable cameras into here. And the preset, I'm going to set the preset to be 1080. I guess let's find 1080. Okay, so HD 1080. So we're going to make this quite large, good pixel aspect ratio, and the resolution I'm just going to bump up to about 150 just for now. Once we're happy with the render settings, you just close that down. Okay, so we're going to close this. There are other options here that you can play around with. Close. I'm then going to go to just make sure I've set my project right. So on here, because I work between my OneDrive and my desktop at times, if I go to my OneDrive, Maya project, and 3D lessons, I'm going to make sure that I set this project here, because the images, when you output them, will eventually appear inside the images folder inside the project. Okay, so please make sure that you've set the project. Then I'm going to go down to renderer and I'm just going to click on batch render. What you'll start to see is down the bottom of here, Maya will then start to show that it's rendering, and eventually this will then flick through very, very fast with all the stills. So what I might do in a moment, I might just open up my folder. I'm going to navigate directly to that project. I'm going to ignore that. There we go, down to the projects, 3D lessons. Now if I click inside images, just ignore that for now, you'll start to see that Maya is now generating all these images, all these stills or the frames that we've been working on inside that scene. Get down to 70. Okay, this is going to start syncing with my OneDrive, but you'll see here the images are already currently done and we have the stills for the animation that we've just made. Now if you're making your obstacle course, you can add additional cameras that you can then use in Premiere. So I'm just going to make sure I resync all of this inside Premiere. So I'm going to create a new folder here. No, let's not call this Premiere. There we go. We'll go with that. So Premiere character batch. I'm going to go into my images folder and I'm just going to make sure those images are then set up inside this project. So we're going to transfer them over. 3D lessons, images. So I'm just keeping track of my work. I might make a different folder inside the images. I might have a camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, depending on how many different cameras I might have rendered out at any given time. Okay, so let's just drag these over to the top. No, don't want that. Okay, so let's click off of this and drag this over. Premiere lessons into the images folder and then drop. Okay, so now because of all these stills, they're not currently a video, we now need to resequence this. I'm just going to go into Premiere. Okay, so I'm going to open up Premiere. When Premiere is open, we're going to create a new project. So I'm going to go new project, give it a name. Do I want to go Premiere? I don't want Premiere character. I'm going to call this Maya character. There we go. And then I'm going to browse. I'm going to make sure this is saved into the folder that we made. So I'm going to go to my OneDrive again, scroll down to the folder that we've created. As you see, I've got quite a bit of work. Choose that, go OK. Premiere opens. So the next bit is really easy. You don't have to do too much in here. We don't want to take in all these images as frame by frames. We're going to turn this into a video. So we're going to go File, Import, navigate down to the images. Do not click on import straight away once you click on this first image. So just click the top image, and before you go import, go to options, image sequence, and then import. Maya will automatically then work out how all these frames are to be played, and then we can play this back through as an individual video clip, as opposed to this being individual frames. Okay, have fun.